Ladies and gentlemen, what a game between the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors that went to overtime yesterday. If you guys missed the game like I did, I highly suggest you guys go check it out. Watch the highlights, watch the game, whatever. Just know what happened because that game was amazing. Now, first things first, I just want to give credit where credit's due, and that's Aaron Gordon's 50 bomb against us. This guy had 10 threes against the Warriors. 10. And this guy doesn't even specialize in shooting threes either. This is Aaron Gordon's best game of his career. Aaron Gordon, he's more of a drive in, dunk, paint beast type of guy. But shooting 10 threes, bro, is insane. Yo! What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mythic Boozer here, and welcome back to Warriors Talk. Now, this game was very interesting. It was interesting for a couple of reasons. First, because of that Aaron Gordon 50 bomb. Second, because Steph Curry played really, really well against the Nuggets. He had like 42 points, I think. He really, came up clutch in the fourth quarter. Looking at the stats of the Nuggets, not everyone played really well, except for like Jamal Murray and Jokic and Aaron Gordon, of course. But everybody else, they didn't do much. Like Cameron Johnson, he played 32 minutes and only had 5 points. Like, if I'm a Nuggets fan, I would definitely see that as a potential problem. Nikola Jokic, he had 41 minutes and he had, a triple-double because it's Jokic, of course. What do you expect? Jamal Murray played 40 minutes. He had 25 points and 10 assists and 3 rebounds. So he had a double-double. Christian Braun, he had 38 minutes, 6 points. That's also a problem, I think. Spencer Jones, 6 minutes, did absolutely nothing. Jonas Valanciunas, 12 minutes, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 points. I feel like he could have got more rebounds, I think. Because he's so tall, he's like, 7'1" or something like that. Like I said in the first video, guys, if you play like for 20 minutes, you gotta have, or if you're playing for like 30 minutes, you gotta have at least 15 points because, if you're not getting at least like 10 rebounds or something, and if you have like 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and like 5 points, we played like 30 minutes of the game, I feel like that's a problem. You're not contributing as much. But from a statistical standpoint, I feel like, they could have done better. But the Warrior stats, Jimmy Butler, 39 minutes, 20 points. That's more like it. He had 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Jonathan Kuminga, 36 minutes, and he had 14 points. Okay, he could have done more. That's definitely an argument you can make. Draymond, 34 minutes, 13 points, but he also had 8 rebounds and 8 assists, so that's really good. Pods, he had 34 minutes, and he had 11 points. Got to work on that a little bit more. Curry, of course, 37 minutes and 42 points. Also, the Warriors had the same amount of rebounds as the Nuggets that game. They had like 43. So, yeah, they both had 43. And the Warriors, Nuggets have some tall players. They have Jokic, Jonas Valanciunas, Aaron Gordon, he could get rebounds. All those players, they can get rebounds really easily. Warriors getting rebounds, at the same level as the Nuggets is really good. And I feel like we definitely stepped that up from last game. So offensive rebounds, we had more. Defensive rebounds, they had a little bit more, but that's obviously okay. We had more assists. They had one more block, and we had more steals. So that's really good. Our defense definitely improved from last game. Um, we had less turnovers. We had more points in the paint. We had less fouls. The only big thing that I saw on defense was just letting Aaron Gordon, score 10 threes and drop 50 on us. Other than that, I think the Warriors played really well on defense. Okay, so let's talk about the pros, the improvements we had, what we did really good at, and that was our clutch execution. Curry dropping that mean 3 to send the game to overtime was really, really, really clutch. Um, I feel like the last 5 minutes of the game, we really, locked in and dialed in. We had balanced scoring, I feel like, too. We had some good people, like I said, who contributed. Just like besides Curry, of course. And I feel like we're really resilient that game, too. Aaron Gordon dropping 50 and still losing is tough, I feel like. So we overcame a really good game that, had a player that dropped 50 on us. So that's pretty big, I feel like, in my opinion. So I think that's all the pros I can think of this game. Just offensively, defensively, of course, that resilience that I just mentioned. I feel like it all came up and came to play. So moving on to our cons, things that we need to improve on, things we kind of lacked this game, and the number one thing is letting Aaron Gordon drop 50 on us. Um, controlling those key matchups and limiting the big nights from the opponents, I feel like is a problem. Um, even though we won, um, even though we won, going to overtime means that we weren't, dominant, but we still played really well. But, we got to become dominant and not, send games to overtime because I feel like that's the last thing you want to do. So I feel like that's all I need to say about this game. I'm going to be making the Blazers video next because the Blazers just played the Warriors. But so far, right now, we are 2-0 until next game. Because I know what happens. Because I didn't make this video yesterday because I was a little bit busy. But, I'm making this Blazers video next, though. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff, mostly on the con stuff. It's going to be more cons than pros in the next video. But, oh yeah, also, Warriors performance, I'm going to give them an A- this game. That clutch execution at the end really bumped up my score. Curry, 42 points. I feel like the only thing we lacked on was letting Aaron Gordon score 50. That's like the biggest thing I could think of. But other than that, I think we played really good. Beating a strong opponent like the Nuggets in overtime is a big, big, big win, I feel like. So yeah, A- I think is reasonable against the Nuggets. And I think that's it for this video, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.